hit like and subscribe. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel.
Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to Night School. Every night here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, we hold Night School, where I break down the most interesting topics, the most controversial subjects, the most contested subjects going on in the world today. Tonight is no different. We got a lot of stuff to talk about right here on the channel. Excuse that sound of movement. Hello, dear wife.
Hello.
Don't worry about this live broadcast.
Like, mail delivery?
Right. We've literally been together for the last 3 hours, and as soon as I go live, I'm going live. Like, here's some mail. Anyway, thank y'all for watching Night School. Y'all, they talking about some Hey Melissa. Y'all, I forgot y'all met her now. She coming back on too, y'all. Don't worry. She coming back. Soon, maybe this weekend. I think we're gonna do something regular too. We've been talking about doing something regular. So if y'all got some good ideas or some good topics, or maybe a good theme or a good title for the show, we working on all that. We're gonna figure something out. I had a lot of fun hanging out with her. Rolando, I'll tell Melissa you miss her. I might not though. We're gonna go live with a lot of good questions. I'll take a couple maybe a couple of questions at the end. Oh wow. Yo, babe, come here. Oh, and so
Yes.
First of all, there's way too many comments here talking about some. Hey Melissa, hi wife. Hey Melissa, we miss you. How you miss her? She been here once, man. I've been here for a year. And don't nobody ever miss me. Yay, we do love Melissa. Karen D said, hey Melissa, we need you on Podwives. What's funny is we were just watching clips from Podwives, and we saw the YouTube version. I've seen most of it, a lot of it on Patreon, but we watched the YouTube version. And we were talking about that. And
It was cooking.
Yeah, it was cooking. and Joe extended the offer maybe to come on an episode the next time they do it. So we're gonna consider it. I'm scared.
I know.
What you mean? Rosa, she's a team Melissa. There's no team Melissa. Like, do you see that? Y'all see that? Team Melissa, the Melissa Mayhem show. They cut me out of the show. I made a show with me and her.
We need to revisit the name.
Right. At least you in it. They've already cut me in. Melissa, la reina del pueblo. What? You know what? Enough. The Melissa, Jazz LP said the Melissa show.
I like it. Let's go with it. I think it works.
The Melissa show. Melissa is officially the best part of Mark's personality. You know what?
I mean, this is what I've been saying for years. Right?
You really have. Someone just sent $5 and wrote Melissa for president. The Melissa takeover. But you know what?
Hashtag.
We're done here. I got real issues. Have important. Come on, Mark. Surely you're also team Melissa. Why has it got to be compared? Oh wait, see, I see what you did. I see what you did.
You support your wife,
right? Don't you support your wife? Why aren't you on Melissa's team?
You should be one. You want to be team Melissa.
Oh my God, I love y'all though. Thank y'all.
We'll come back on Sunday.
Maybe Sunday. Maybe Saturday. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
The Moments with Melissa. If y'all come up with another damn name for this show.
We need a name.
No, but I mean, that only includes you.
Oh, that's right. Well, whatever we like, we can just add you to the
right. Thank you, Amos. Mark for VP of Melissa Club. What?
Yeah, we just put you in like the fine print. We just like have me as the big title, and then you
right.
It's like
and Mark.
Really technically.
You know, when Hannity and Combs started, it was called Hannity and Liberal to be named later. Like dead ass.
It was like Melissa and husband to be named later. Oh wait, that's right.
Husband to be named later. This is awkward.
Get home.
Good night. All right, y'all. I hate y'all. I love y'all and I hate y'all. All right, back to the show. Back to the real show, the actual show. Welcome to Night School. We got a lot to cover tonight, and I'm happy to do that with y'all, man. I'm so looking forward to covering these topics. everybody, if you're a night school classmate and if you're in the room right now, you are a classmate, hit the like on this video, comment your name and where you're watching from so the classmates know. Share the video with a friend, share it with a group chat, share it with social media, share it with every community you're in so that we can expand this global classroom. You need to be a subscriber in order to leave comments, and that's cool. It's not easy. It's not hard to be a subscriber. Hit that subscribe button. Everybody watching, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching on Twitter, come over to YouTube and subscribe. That way you can be part of the conversation. You can be in the comments. But like my producer Princess says, keep it cute in the comments. We will not all agree, but you can disagree or challenge. You can even critique. You can even clown. But you can do it without hate speech. No hate speech allowed in this room. There are chat moderators in the room, and they are going to be watching. If you get dinged once, you get a warning. The second time, you get muted. That means you can't leave comments in the comment well. And, of course, the third time, you'd be banned. But we don't want to do all of that. We just want to have a dialogue in the global classroom. So coming up today, a damning declaration from the largest human rights organization in the world. Amnesty International is accusing Israel of committing, shocker, genocide in Gaza. Then a white comedian just escalated his very one-sided beef with Kendrick Lamar. It's cringy. It's on video. And I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to tell you why it's terrible. And, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu's corruption trial is expected to start next week. His defense, they got a big L that they caught today. They were dealt a huge blow in court today. And I think it can not only impact Netanyahu, it could impact Israel's war efforts. We'll tell you all about it. I'm going to break it all down. But let's get started right now with that report because it's something else. Amnesty International they're doing some important work, and they've always done important work. But I think today was one of those moments, or yesterday was one of those moments in Amnesty International's history. It's going to go down in history. Anyway, the United States came to Israel's defense today after Amnesty International released a 296-page report titled, "You Feel Like You Are Subhuman: Israel's Genocide Against Palestinians in Gaza." During a 9-month period, the group found sufficient basis to conclude that Israel is, quote, killing, causing serious bodily or mental harm, and deliberately inflicting on Palestinians in Gaza conditions of life calculated to bring about their physical destruction in whole or in part. Now, of course, if you didn't know, that is the textbook, literally the textbook definition of genocide. And according to the conventions on genocide, that's exactly what it is. The report added that, quote, these acts were committed with the specific intent to destroy Palestinians in Gaza. But, of course, nothing is that easy because you would think they issue a report, the world would read the report, the world would acknowledge the report, and if they acknowledge the findings, and they should acknowledge the findings, then that would kind of be it, right? Like, I don't know, like they might actually legitimately say, and by they I mean the West, say, hey, it's time to intervene on Gaza. It's time to impose sanctions. It's time to do some kind of action that would lead to a different outcome in Gaza. But of course, that ain't the world we live in. The world we live in is one where the U.S. State Department, even when the report comes out, even when the evidence is damning, they still refuse to do anything. Check this out.
So let me just follow up on this, because now we have Amnesty International. Before that, we had Human Rights Watch. We have all the UN organizations, all the human rights organizations, probably throughout the world. B'Tselem, the Israeli human rights organization, every other organization, saying that Israel is committing genocide. And it depends. I mean, it says, I know that genocide depends a great deal on intent. And it says, it bases its conclusion on statement time and time again by Israeli commanders, by Israeli officials, by certainly the president of Israel, by many other people that says they are committing genocide. I mean, we see that they have killed 45,000 people, 17,000 children. It deprives it food from going in. It deprives anesthesia from going on. CNN reported yesterday that Israel disallowed anesthesia from going into Gaza. What is it going to take for you, for the United States of America, that really holds the moral high ground, on these issues, on human rights issues, to say what is happening is genocide. Because what we see today, what we witness in northern Gaza is basically starvation by intent.
So that's an opinion, and you're certainly welcome, and you are entitled to it, as are all the organizations that you listed. They are entitled to make their own analysis of the situation and come to their own conclusions. What I can say as a spokesperson of the U.S. government and as a spokesperson of this administration is that the findings of the accusations of genocide, we continue to believe those to be unfounded.
We continue to view those as unfounded. Why do you view those as unfounded? Because we don't want to found them. we don't want them founded. We don't want them known. We don't want anything to do with a finding that would make Israel culpable. That's basically what happened. There's no legitimate reason. There's no informed reason. There's no principled reason to say that. And what you'll see is people hanging on that question of intent because it's the most nebulous thing. Because see, under international law, in order for a conflict to be considered genocide, there has to be evidence of specific criminal acts. Boom, right? We see that. But also, quote, intent to destroy in whole or part a national, ethnical, racist, or religious group as such. In other words, it's not enough to just go out and kill a bunch of people. It has to be an intent to do so. The kind of is it the men's right? That's the criminal mind, but a kind of criminal intent is what we're asking for. And so the U.S. is saying, "Oh, Israel doesn't intend to do this." We're 14 months in, and your tactics are still causing the death of people. Your strategy is causing the death of people. Large numbers of innocent people, large numbers of civilians, large numbers of unarmed people, large numbers of children. You're blocking humanitarian aid. I could go on down the list. We know all the stuff. And yet 14 months later, they're saying, well, it's unfounded. They're not saying they're even true at this point. They're not saying it's not happening. They're saying it's not happening, right? Or it's not happening, right? Like we can't say one way or the other. We can't say it didn't happen, but we can't say it did. And so we're just going to say it's unfounded forever. Which is so fascinating because the United States was so quick to slap the genocide label on Russia after maybe like 2 or 3 weeks into the invasion of Ukraine. But as always, there's an exception when it comes to Israel-Palestine. And of course, Israeli defense officials denied the allegations completely. They accused human rights organizations in the past, and this time, Amnesty International, they accused them of fabricating the report. And of course, Amnesty Israel, which is sort of the Amnesty International's branch inside of Israel, they rejected the finding. They're the one Amnesty International branch or arm or window, whatever you would call it, that spoke independently and said, nah. So this is unsurprising. And then there will be people here who say, everybody from bots to Michael Rappaport who are out here saying, well, they changed the definition of genocide in order to call it a genocide. That's not what happened. Read the report. I want y'all to actually go to the report. We'll come back to the report and break down the report, but go to the report. Read the report. Page 101, I believe, is where the questions of intent are. And you'll see very clearly they're not changing the definition. They're very carefully unpacking the legal language that we arrive in a different place. So I just want to point that out. It's frustrating. It's unsurprising, though. I'm still grateful that the report came out, but I'm managing my expectation, and I'm encouraging all of you to manage your expectations when it comes to what the report is going to do. If you've been watching this for 14 months, you already know it's a genocide. If you've listened to the other human rights organizations, like Human Rights Watch, for example, you know it's a genocide. If you have eyeballs, you know it's a genocide. And so this will give you language, and this will give you data, this will give you evidence, but it ain't swaying hearts and minds because it's already clearly won. And if you have ignored all of the data and all that language and all the anecdotes and all the stories and all the news reports and all the bodies, then I'm not sure that this is going to do anything different for you. If you don't think it's genocide before today, you probably won't think it's genocide afterward, because that means you already don't trust human rights organizations. You already don't listen to data. The evidence is already there. This is not a lack of evidence. It's a lack of political will. It's a lack of compassion. It's a lack of political clarity. It's a lack of principle. So look, I'm glad we have the data. I'm glad we have the evidence. I'm glad we have the report, and we can add it to the list of reports. But let's be clear. Don't let these people off the hook. When I say these people, I'm talking about the Biden administration. I'm talking about the Biden-Harris administration. I'm talking about the UK. I'm talking about France. I'm talking about Canada. I'm talking about all these nations, all these organizations that are doing nothing in the face of a genocide where hundreds of thousands of people, certainly more than 100,000 people, have been killed. We know that. I don't care what nobody said. The Gaza Health Ministry is reporting its numbers, but that's not counting the rubble. That's not counting the secondary deaths. That's not, if those are conservative estimates, at the end of the day, too many people have been killed, whether it's 44,000 or 144,000. No intended reference to Revelations. People are dying and we're doing nothing. Maybe this report will give the United States the pretext to act. That's what you'd hope for. That's what you would think. But they're already saying, well, it's unfounded. We can't buy it. We don't trust it. Ain't no report in the world gonna make somebody act right who don't want to. It's up to us to apply the pressure. It's up to us to do the work to get them to act right, because they will never do it on their own. It's that simple. Let's stay in Israel for a second, because there's more going on here that I want y'all to know about. An Israeli court ordered Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to take the stand next week in his corruption trial. I'm going to say it again, in his corruption trial. In the midst of all this warmongering and genociding, let's not forget that Benjamin Netanyahu is forced to stand trial for corruption. I want you to remember that as you parallel what Netanyahu has done with what Trump has done. You have two ridiculously corrupt, cruel leaders who keep fighting with these 9 lives to survive in office, partially to shield themselves from criminal prosecution, among other things. Ain't no coincidence. Anyway, Bibi's lawyers have put in repeated requests to delay his testimony, even limit the number of days each week that he will have to testify. They cited the demands of the wars. Like, he's so busy prosecuting these wars, he can't be testifying. He started the damn war. Anyway, today, Netanyahu's request was rejected. The court said they found, quote, no compelling reason to allow it. He's expected to take the stand next Tuesday, and this trial could take several weeks. Bibi is facing charges of fraud, breach of trust, and bribery for allegedly trading favors with media moguls and wealthy associates. They're saying that he traded power for resource and access. He traded resource and access for wealth, etc., etc., etc. Now, of course, Netanyahu did deny the charges. Guess what? I don't believe him. I don't believe any leader when they say they didn't do it, especially on issues like this. I don't believe any president. I don't believe any prime minister. I don't believe any of these people. And guess who stepped? Kaboom! Guess who stepped in the room? Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo wants to be mayor of New York, but before that, he's jumping on Bibi's defense team. Now, he's always been in the bag for the Zionists. He's trying to protect them from the ICC. He's trying to protect them from more than the criminal stuff. But the point is, Bibi is getting a certain kind of protection right now. He's getting a certain kind of sympathy from the West, but he's also under a lot of scrutiny internally. Many Israelis, even the liberal side, the people who hate Palestinians, they also hate Bibi, not with the same passion, but they hate Bibi too. So it'll be interesting to watch. It'll be interesting to watch what happens when that trial starts. Anyway, enough on that. I want to move on to yet another story that I think is important. But before I get to that story, because it's wild out here, before I even get to this FBI raid, which is important, some of y'all are just joining the room right now. If you jump in the chat, and I hope you jump in the chat, let us know where you're coming from, the city, the state, the country. Also, don't forget to hit all the buttons. Subscribe. to the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. Like this video, share it on social media, and also ask more people to join our global classroom here in Night School. Also, head over to Instagram, give us a follow at Night School MLH, of course, for Marc Lamont Hill, Night School MLH. The link is posted in the description of this video, and it'll take you directly to that page. All right, now let's talk about this FBI raid, because this is blowing my mind as well. The FBI raided the home of 2 Palestinian-American sisters who attend George Mason University in Virginia. Now, you might say, why would they be raiding a home of 2 Palestinian girls? Well, they said they were investigating campus graffiti related to student protests at the school at GMU. More than a dozen officers and a member of the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force searched their homes for 6 hours and seized their electronic devices. Now, what's even more chilling is that the officers allegedly refused to show the family a search warrant. Young people are active around the country. Palestinian children, youth, students, whatever, are active around the country. But what we're seeing is increasing surveillance, increasing criminalization, increasing disregard for their rights and their civil liberties all around the country. The fact that this is happening, they're getting their homes ready. A 6-hour search. They spend less time on dope dealers. They spend less time on the mafia. And they're investigating these Palestinian women for no reason other than the fact that they participated in a protest and that they're Palestinian. They took their electronic devices and they never showed a search warrant. I'm not saying they didn't have one, but they didn't show one, which again is part of the disregard that they have, law enforcement has, for brown people, for black people, for vulnerable people. This cannot continue. We're at a moment now as we enter the Trump era where free speech is getting cracked down on, where the Justice Department is being weaponized to go after Trump's political enemies. We are seeing a moment where principled free speech is being seen as hate speech, where colleges are, where Donald Trump's deporting campus radicals. This is all fruit of the same poisonous tree. We must stop this. Even if you're anti-Palestinian, which you should not be. Even if you're anti-protest, which I hope you're not. You have to protect and fight for the protection of the rights of the vulnerable. And those rights include, in this case, free speech rights, which all of us need. Every single one. So, all right, y'all. So much going on. So much going on in the world, man. I'm going to take some questions from y'all before I go on this Kendrick thing. But I want to talk about this Kendrick thing just for a second, because it is, I find deeply frustrating, profoundly frustrating. And I want to give you all, again, context, because I think the context often isn't given for a lot of these stories. Kendrick Lamar has been buzzing for months. He has had the world in his palm for months. The entire music media is paying such careful attention to him and Drake simultaneously that there's little room for anything else. And that only got more intense after GNX came out, where Kendrick had that line, don't let no white comedian talk about no black woman, that's law, right? He's affirming the value of black women. He's affirming his commitment to protecting black women. He is saying we can't be mocking black women. It seemed like a fairly safe and reasonable statement to make as a black man, as a black artist, as a black rapper in particular. Well, Alfred Schultz decided to speak out about it. Now, if you don't know who Alfred Schultz is a comedian. He's a podcaster. He's on the Brilliant Idiots with Charlemagne. And a lot of people know him because of his relationship to Charlemagne, because now suddenly they're in this space where they're talking about black culture, black issues, etc. Andrew Schultz has always pushed the edge. He's always been an edgy comedian. He's always been irreverent. But he responded. He took the Kendrick thing as a diss against him, and he decided that it was best for him to respond to Kendrick in this way. Check this out. This is Andrew Schultz's response to Kendrick.
Like, first of all, Kendrick's people and the gang affiliate, everybody, his security, they will kill me. They will destroy me. They'll find me in the street. They'll fucking cut me up. They'll shoot me. They'll do whatever. I'm not a tough guy. Y'all do. But just Kendrick. I would make love to him. And there's nothing he could do about it. Just Kendrick Lamar, I would make love to him, and the only thing that he could do is decide if it's consensual or not. That's the only thing he could do. If it's me and Kendrick, if it's me and Kendrick, no, this is about physics. It's about physics. I don't even know if I'll get hard. But if we're in a cell, there's a chance that if we're in a cell and we're bored and we done tattooing each other, whatever you do in the cell, and we ran out of board games and we did all the other things, we cleaned everything, and I'm like, man, I might as well fuck you. There's nothing he could physically do to stop that besides put his legs in the air and choose a position. Maybe I'll let him choose a
Why are you
position.
pulling this picture up, Mark? Why are you doing this?
Look at, put up that picture of him and Travis Kelce's girl. Look at that shit.
Oh my God, dude, that's unbelievable.
Yo, I'll be honest. I would go so far as to say I don't think he could stop most people on the planet from having sex with him. Like, the only reason he got security is to stop people from having sex with him whenever he wants. Now, don't get me wrong, there's people who could fuck me against my will. I was in an elevator once with this drag queen, and this motherfucker was like 6'5".
Oh, yeah.
And we're in the elevator and we're going down. I'm like, yo, if he wanted to take it, I gotta cause a ruckus or something like that. Like, I gotta have my pants. I gotta do something.
Yeah.
I know with Kendrick that he's talking a lot of shit, but if it came down to it, I could put him on my lap. I could feed him a bottle. I could put him on my lap. I could feed him a bottle and make love to him if I wanted to, and there's nothing he could do about it. I might not be hard. Dick might just slap soft against his butt. But I could be romantic with him, and there's nothing he could do about it, to the point, like, I think I'm so charming, he would just fall into it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think he would just be so charmed. He would be like, damn, like, whap, 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 whap. Let me suck it up. You want to talk about another album called Damn. Sit down. Reincarnated. Ask I penetrated. Listen, but in all.
So many things here. First, it's just not funny. It's disgusting. Andrew Schultz said Alfred, I think. Did I say Alfred? I'm sorry. I'm frustrated for a few reasons, and disgusted for a few reasons. First, it's not funny. Second, I don't care how many times he says making love, he's talking about rape. He's talking about rape. He's joking about raping Kendrick Lamar. That's never funny. But the idea that you could sit in a room and mock rape is disgusting. I think I'm particularly disgusted to see these people of color, these men of color, standing there watching Alfred Schultz, a white man, make fun of the act of sexual assault, an act of sexual violence against a black man. There's a long history of buck breaking, and buck breaking was about violence against black men. It was about breaking black men's spirit by physically beating them, by mentally torturing them, and by sexually abusing them. That's what buck breaking was. And that's exactly what he's getting at here. And let's remember, again, he's responding to what he believes is a jab from Kendrick Lamar, who's saying, don't clown black women. Kendrick Lamar is simply defending black women. Now, Alfred also made a comment about hip hop being misogynistic and all these other things. And he's pointed out some of Kendrick's mistakes or contradictions. And I think some of what he said was true. I mean, Kendrick has advocated for people who are problematic. Kendrick has done things that are troublesome. But in that moment, he was standing up for black women. He didn't name Alfred Schultz. He didn't put a name on the bullet, and he didn't disrespect Alfred Schultz. I keep saying Alfred Schultz, Andrew Schultz. It's funny is I know Andrew Schultz for a long time, and I also know Bill. I worked with his brother Bill, and I'm friends with his brother Bill. And they do have a brother named Alfred, which is the context. Am I making that up? Do they have brother named Alfred? I think they have brother named Alfred. Anyway, Phyllis Bill. Anyway, it's tough here. It's tough here. To sort of articulate how frustrating, how profoundly frustrating it is to watch this. Rape culture, when y'all say there's no such thing as rape culture, this is it. And if you don't think that that rape culture is tied up in, bound up in racism as well, anti-Blackness as well, it absolutely is. Let's be clear about that. Watching the self-hate and the indifference to rape culture and just this flat out, I ain't gonna use that word, but just the commitment to reinforcing white people's whims and desires and laughter and all that shit. What's the matter, boss? We sick. Watching these Black and brown people do that is disgusting. Watching the idea of a Black man advocating for a Black woman be mocked and turned into this is terrible. And then there's the question, why do you think that you have a right to do this? You know, I don't have an issue with Andrew critiquing rap, critiquing rappers, being involved in the culture. You know, there's plenty of room in hip hop for all kinds of people. Hip hop has always been diverse, even though it's a production, a cultural production that comes out of Blackness and comes out of urban hoods and comes out of post-industrial urban America and comes out of Blackness. We are a universal people. It's okay for white people to be down with it. But now you're not just coming in, but you're trying to police it. You're coming in and you're mad that a Black man defended a Black woman, and then you're talking about mocking him. Now, I know Kendrick came out with the bar, so you're going to come out with the comedy, and I don't mind you coming out with comedy. I don't mind irreverent comedy. I ain't mad at that. But this goes beyond irreverent comedy. You're mocking sexual violence, sexual domination. And the thing is, you're not contributing to the culture. You know, it's one thing, you know, and I'm watching people. Dr. Everett White put it perfectly. His response is being called a racist misogynist is to be a racist misogynist. And they say hit dog holler, right? You throw a rock into a group of dogs, the hit dog hollers, right? The one that got hit hollers. He said a white man shouldn't be making fun of Black women, white comedians shouldn't be making fun of Black women. And he jumps up and speaks out. Why? Because he knows he was a white comedian making fun of Black women. And he responds to the accusation of racism and misogynoir by going even deeper. Because part of the argument of saying that you are going to buck break Kendrick Lamar and physically dominate him is that you're going to treat him like a woman, right? He made the comment about penetration right after that, and make even the language of making love is still to make it seem as if he's effeminizing Kendrick. He's saying he's little and I can dominate him. I can treat him the way men treat women. And that kind of language itself also smuggles in a certain kind of anti-woman logic, an anti-woman narrative, anti-woman sentiment. But the core here is that Andrew Schultz is making a joke. And I get what people are saying, right? That he's just joking about being able to beat up Kendrick. I get the joke. He's saying Kendrick is too little to talk shit. Kendrick is too little to handle me. I can whoop Kendrick's ass. And he's saying, and he's communicating that through this language of I can have sex with him whenever I want, right? That's what Boxy Brown here is saying. Here's the problem. Saying that, let's say you're right. Let's say all he's saying is he can beat up Kendrick Lamar. Okay, why would he want to talk about beating up Kendrick Lamar when Kendrick said, stop mocking Black women? I'm standing up for my. Why would that be something that will warrant a violent response or an allusion to violence? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so as he's asserting a certain kind of masculinity that says, I'm going to use my masculine identity to be a protector. And again, I'm not fetishizing or romanticizing even what do you call it? Like a kind of philanthropic hypermasculinity or a kind of generous patriarchy, where it's like, yeah, I'm using my patriarchy for good and not evil. You know, it's like, no, patriarchy itself is a problem. So I don't want to romanticize that or dismiss that. Benevolent patriarchy is the word I was trying to say. I don't want to romanticize benevolent patriarchy here, but Kendrick is saying, look, I'm standing, let's stand up for something positive. And Schultz responds to that with this. Not just I can whoop his ass, but I could rape you if I wanted to. He's literally saying, I could rape you if I wanted to. Why would that be something worth saying to this? If Kendrick said, yeah, I'm gonna smack the shit out of Andrew Schultz, and then you want to reassert your hyper masculinity and your toxic masculinity by saying, look what I can do to you, right? Because masculinity is about physical domination too often. I get that. But Kendrick did none of that. None of this was warranted. Just because you hang with Black people, just because you work with Black people, doesn't mean you have the right to act in ways that overstate your affiliations. But let me be very clear again. I don't think that Black men should be doing this either. We shouldn't be saying that kind of shit. We shouldn't be doing that kind of shit. And we damn sure shouldn't be laughing at that kind of shit like my brother on the left here in this video. I mean, come on, y'all. We're better than this. So I'd love to talk to Andrew. I know Andrew not well, but I know Andrew. I'd love to talk to him and figure out why the hell he's making this choice, why he thought that was funny, why he thought that was okay. But I'm not dying to get that. What I'm dying to do is get justice. Kendrick don't need nothing. He's fine, right? But I'm talking about in the broader world. I've watched, you know what? I'm gonna leave it there. Before we go, I'm just gonna read a couple of comments and let y'all know what's going on. Again, shout out to you, Amos, for your donation. Todd TJ Walker gifted a membership. Bullet said, I love watching Melissa's husband show. Yes, that's what it's become, yo. Dead ass. James Harvey gifted 10 MLH memberships. Thank you so much for that generous donation. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. Is there a question? If somebody sends a super chat in right now, I'll answer a question. And the question doesn't have to be a super chat, but if someone sends something in. Boxy said, claiming you can beat someone up is pretty common when two guys are beefing. Maybe. But again, you're missing my point. Why is this a beef? Kendrick said, stop mocking Black women. If someone said that to me, that wouldn't make me say, oh, I got to have beef with this. First thing I'd be thinking is, hey, maybe I need to stop mocking Black women. Or have a conversation about how I'm not mocking Black women, how it's a misunderstanding or an overstatement or this or that. You can have a different opinion. You ain't got to own the critique if you don't agree with it. But to go straight from, hey, Kendrick is saying, hey, he wants to defend Black women, and he feels like I'm not, to say, well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna whoop his ass. That's not a rational or reasonable response, but that's the irrationality sometimes of toxic masculinity. That's what I find very, very scary. Someone said, Andrew Schultz is not Jewish. Let's not. Who said Andrew Schultz was Jewish? Who said anything about being Jewish? Am I missing something? Or is that from the comments? Because I don't think Andrew Schultz is Jewish. I know Andrew Schultz isn't Jewish. His Jewishness has nothing to do with this. This is if anything, I've been just talking about his whiteness and his maleness. I never even thought about him being Jewish because he's not. I know his family. I know him again. I know his brother quite well. It's from the comments. Okay, just want to make sure. I was like, because people be throwing stuff on me that I'll be like, I don't even know what y'all talking. I literally didn't know what you're talking about. So I get what you're saying. Like in beefs, people say they're going to fight each other. But why is there beef? I'm saying, hey, no white comedian should mock Black women. I don't know how a white comedian hears that and says, you know what? I mock a lot of Black women. He's probably talking about me. You know, he is talking about me. You know what I should do? I should fight him and threaten to sexually assault him. That's a good response. What? None of it makes sense. But the sexual violence part is just the craziest part to me. All right, y'all. Somebody said, Amos Leak said, any thoughts on the the Mexican president comments? I didn't see the Mexican president's comment. I've been running all day, so I can look it up, or someone can just shoot me a verbatim, like a quote of it. But I'm happy to do that. That's for showing up. Thank you. Marcus said, what are your thoughts on the executives of United Healthcare and CVS removing their photos on the site? I can't say I blame them. There's a couple moving parts here. The first part is, there are organized killers out here who are killing motherfuckers who are part of these organizations, these institutions, these companies, corporations. So yeah, I would take my name and face off too. Now, I've been the person since yesterday saying, hey, have a little bit of compassion, a little bit of mercy, not for the CEO in his capacity as CEO, but for a person who did, for a husband or a father or a neighbor or a son, who's gone too soon in their mind. I didn't lose any sleep last night over his death, but I also didn't find any pleasure in it. The system is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And I hope that the healthcare industry and the political class uses this as an opportunity, as a window into the world of healthcare for so many of us, because it's that world of healthcare that creates the frustration. It exacerbates the stress and the tension, and it creates a world where people want to do harm to people, either as a way of getting their needs met or as a way of negotiating their frustration for not being able to get their needs met while living inside of the richest empire in human history. I mean, come on, this is wild. So I get why people are mad at the CEO. I get why people are taken to the streets, but I don't condone the violence. I don't condone the violence. I don't support the violence. I won't arrive at the violence, and I'm dissuading people from buying into that. So that's just my 2 cents. Bob Vaughan writes this: can you cover violations of the ceasefire in Lebanon? Yeah, absolutely. We are going to cover it. We started talking about it last night. We're going to keep covering it. It's incredibly important to cover all these violations, which often get deemed as brown drama. Let's see here. Any other questions before I go? None. Okay, family, I want to thank you all for watching Night School tonight. It's been an incredible evening. I love breaking down stories with you all. I love talking about the most interesting things going on in the world. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and of course, if you're so inclined, hit the join button. It gives us the financial stability we need. When we have you as a multi-dimensional, how can I put it? Let me put it differently. There's a lot going on here, and we could use the support. It gives us stability, it gives us predictability, it gies us cushion. It just lets us do lots of things, including invest in the studio, including pay for the staff salaries, including edit. We just have so much more runway when we have monthly paid subscribers. But if you can't make a monthly commitment or you're not sure yet, that's okay. You can make a one-time commitment right now. Consider it sort of tuition for the month for Night School. You go to Cash App, you go to PayPal, you go to Venmo, you go to Zelle. Any one of them works out just fine. Fine. The idea is we're going to do for self. The idea is we're going to do for self by ourselves. And I believe in our ability to make that happen. And so we will. But Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, and Zelle go a long way toward supporting us in that struggle. If you leave $1, just $1, we're grateful. If you leave $10, we're absolutely grateful. And anything in between, we're grateful for. But our goal tonight is that if everybody watching were to donate at least $10, if you go to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle, if everybody watching were to donate $10, we'd be able to meet our financial goals for the month, for the studio space, for the personnel, for the staff, and we'd be able to move forward. So if you happen to have $1, please drop it in. If you have $10, please drop it in. No amount is too small, no amount is too big. If you got $1 million to drop in, we'd be extra grateful. We'd be super grateful. We'd be able to build this channel up and do all the things we need to do. But if you can't do that, there's a few of you watching who have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of money over here. Over leveraged like hell. So please drop 50,000 and drop 30,000 and drop 100,000. And if you can afford to do it, please drop it in the Cash App, the PayPal, the Venmo, or the Zelle, but preferably either the Zelle or the Cash App. If you can donate $20,000 or $30,000, we would be we would just be so grateful. So just thank you for watching and thank you for the support. In the meantime, I'll see you tomorrow at night school. Peace.